Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. First, we're going to start with Kherson direction. The Ukrainians continue the attacking of the Russian forces on this bank of the river, trying to stretch their focus, trying to give another day more time for the Ukrainians that located in Krinky. But as I understand, this is not going to help them because during the previous clashes, the Russians managed to establish full control over the Dnipro River, over the forest, that they managed to destroy significant number of strongholds and buildings on the Krinky. So that's why I don't think that the Ukrainians have chances to change and to break the situation. Furthermore, as you can see, I have updated the map and showing this part of Krinky and this part of Krinky in the gray zone. The Russians from their side continue bombardments of this territory with FAB 500. So probably today the Russians will make more attempts to attack this territory, trying to completely, let's say, establish control over a few more positions in this area. And the next Russian main focus is to capture this territory, so to shorten the Ukrainian foothold in this area from the northeast and to shorten the Ukrainian foothold from the southwest. So this is the main Russian progress and plan for upcoming day and upcoming probably weekend. Now we are moving to Novomykhailivka. We have a lot of updates from this village as well. According to some Russian sources, as a result of operation, the Russians managed to maintain their positions on the southwest of the village, and as a result of offensive operation, they established control over this territory. So as you can see, almost the Novomykhailivka along entire length of the village is half encircled by the Russians from the south. The Russians have improved their positions along the entire village from the south, from the southeast, and from the east. But for now, the real clashes, we haven't received any updates about the real clashes inside of the village. Obviously, the Russians still prepared the operation, but as I understand, very soon we're going to see and receive first updates. Furthermore, the Russians continue bombardments of Novomykhailivka itself. Another few FAB 500s arrived in the central part of the village. The Russians are getting closer and closer. Furthermore, today we got the video of Russian attack that took place probably a few days ago. That was the first update when we start talking about the Russian progress on the northeastern part of the village. On these scenes, we can see how the Russians were attacking the Ukrainians. A lot of interesting details, a lot of very interesting updates. Significant number of Russian stormtroopers were moving on the armored personnel carriers. On these scenes, I haven't seen any tanks. We see that the Russians chose to attack the Ukrainian positions during bad weather because the Ukrainians didn't have any possibilities to counterattack the Russians with the FPV drones. Furthermore, the Russians used a fog period of time to attack the Ukrainian positions, and basically the Ukrainians couldn't see even the Russian movements due to the fog, and the Russians either couldn't see the Ukrainian positions due to the same reasons. On this video, we see how the Russian tank got on minefields, armored vehicle got on minefield. That armored vehicle was damaged. The Russians landed in this area, and then they start moving slowly, step by step, in direction of Ukrainian positions. The result of that operation is unknown. So basically everything, the scenes and the footage, ended in this area. So the Russians moving something like here, like this. In this area, the Russians armored vehicle were damaged. They landed in this territory, and after that they start slowly moving to the south in direction of the northern part of the village. So that was the operation. So let's move further. Now we are moving to Avdiivka area. We have a few interesting updates from this territory. According to the Ukrainian sources, they published a very interesting video. 31st Mechanized Brigade, that is responsible for the area between Ocheretyne and Novomykhailivka, published the video of FPV drone strikes against the Russian positions along the railways, which confirms Russian progress on this territory. So furthermore, additional sources reported that as a result result of offensive operation, the Russians managed to establish control over this interception of 3 lines. So as a result, so we can summarize everything, and we can make a conclusion that as a result of clashes that took place during the previous days, the Russians established control over this territory. So based on that, we can make a conclusion that the Russians are moving further in direction of Ocheretyne using 2 ways. The first one along the Stepovo-Berdychi railways, this is the first Russian line of attack, and the second one from Krasnogorovka-Novomykhailivka railways in this area. And the main purpose, the first Russian goal, is to connect these 3 lines by establishing control over this area. If they can control it, so then they can basically ease their situation, increase the roads to supply and support their forces, and they will maintain their positions, and they will increase their possibilities like flexibility and so on. Furthermore, this tree line is located on the hill. This is the highest point in this area, and the next high point is this residential area. And now we can say for 100% sure that this is the main Russian target and this offensive operation. It's going to be very difficult because this is like artillery pocket that can be attacked by the Ukrainians from different directions, but probably the Russians have solution for this. As we remember, the Russians have already suppressed Ukrainian artillery forces in Krynki and Kherson, so maybe they're going to use the same tactics. So massive usage of lancet and scalp against the Ukrainian artillery system will allow the Russians to dig in deeper in this residential area between the railways. And if the Russians can take control over this territory, obviously they will improve their strategical positions in this area. Now we are moving to Bakhmut-Artyomovsk area. I have also updated the map. If you remember, according to most of the mappers, this territory on the south of Bogdanovka and along the railways is under Russian control, but I still haven't updated the map, at least in Russian color, because we still haven't received even a single geolocation confirming the Russian progress. But I have adjusted the territory into the gray zone. Obviously there are very heavy clashes. I'm not sure that the Russians managed to dig in deeper in this area. There is still a lot of job to do. It's too fast for such a significant progress, but anyway, 100% sure that there are very heavy clashes along this area. So once again, as I understand, currently this territory is in the gray zone, but not like gray zone like 50-50. As I understand, the Russians control this territory for, let's say, 70%, and the Ukrainians, let's say, control and have access to this territory for 30%. And now the Russians are trying to dig in deeper, and if they can do this, this is going to be complete superiority over the Ukrainians on this territory. Furthermore, the Russians continue bombardments of the Ukrainian forces on the northern part of Bogdanovka. We continue receiving updates from this territory. If we just increase the updates for 2 days, we see the Russian focus. So the main purpose, the Russians can't take control over this territory due to the situation that this area is located on the hill, but the Russians can suppress this territory with significant usage of artillery rounds, and this is exactly what they're doing. Artillery rounds, FPV drones, and while they're suppressing the Ukrainians, the rest of the forces try to dig in deeper and to develop their offensive operation along the railways in direction of Canal and, let's say, in direction of Ivanivske. We have final confirmation of Russian control over the northeast-western part of Chernobylets. The Russians made a small material interview of a Russian soldier who was talking and describing the clashes in this area. He published also, during these scenes, they published a lot of footage from the northwestern part of this area. So now we have 100% control over this territory, and we have adjusted the map. So as soon as we get the same story from the northern part, we will do the same. Once again, the Russians currently are located less than 600 meters from Ukrainian positions in Ivanivske. So as we discussed, 20th of December is the first day of beginning of official storm of this village. This is going to be very heavy clashes. When talking about Kupiansk Liman, there are no changes, just another video from Tarskoye salient. The Russians published the footage how they were bombing and attacking the Ukrainian armored vehicles. As a result of artillery strikes, the Ukrainians lost, as I understand, according to this video, 1 Bradley and 1 tank. And this is not the first video from this area. If you remember, just yesterday there was another video from this territory, the scenes of lots of destroyed vehicles from the Ukrainian side, which also we can use as a confirmation of Russian progress and Russian attempts to get as soon as possible Zhiribets River. When talking about Kupiansk direction, we have another Udai diary video, day 35th. The day started with the level of losses in 230 and the day ended with the level of losses of 236. So we are getting closer and closer to 300 losses from the Ukrainian side, just as a work of one FPV drone operator. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.